post-secondary students and staff and many Peel Board staff members have contributed an amazing amount of time, energy, and enthusiasm into planning today's event. Many students and staff are here today from our school, including the student volunteers and custodial team who helped set up for today's conference. I'd like to take a brief moment to thank everyone involved in helping to make this event a valuable learning experience for parents. We'd like to encourage you to take full advantage of what today has to offer. We welcome you as our guests and as parents of students across Peel. Now I'd like to welcome Janet McDougall, Chair of the Peel District School Board, to the podium to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Patricia. Thank you for offering up such a fantastic school, Rick Hanson Secondary School. I remember when we opened this school and how excited we were about all the new innovations that were included in the construction of this school. And it has lived up to its wonderful reputation. It has an incredible student body and staff, but the students are working so hard under the direction of staff on so many wonderful things, and robotics being one of their main focuses. So thank you to all of the students and the staff and all the people who are going to make your day a very, very special day of learning and understanding and gathering information. This year marks the 15th anniversary of our parent conference. And that's pretty amazing, actually, and that's all due to you. So, I mean, we're happy to host this, but it's you who makes this such an important event for us in the board. And actually, across Ontario, boards are aware of this conference and a little envious of the kind of parent involvement that we receive. And there are over 1,300 of you registered today. I know there's not 1,300 here, but we expect that throughout the day there will be many parents arriving and leaving according to their schedules for a Saturday. But we thank you so much for taking the time and understanding the importance of parent involvement in student success. That you are here today instead of home doing the vacuuming, going to the arena, if those hockey tournaments are still in place, doing the laundry, doing the shopping, doing all of those things that happen on a Saturday because we don't have time to do them Monday to Friday. So I thank you very much. And I also want you to know that we appreciate those that you've left behind, because they're taking care of children, doing some errands, running around, making sure that everybody's safe and happy, while you can be here supporting your children. And that is true teamwork. That is a true partnership. So we thank those that aren't here today, because they're contributing as well. I have several of my colleagues that are here today because we too are very, very supportive and believe that it's very important that we welcome you and help you understand the true importance of this partnership. The Vice Chair of the Board, Suzanne Nurse, is here. Suzanne, would you stand up if you do that? And Suzanne is from the Robertson community. Stan Cameron, who is our trustee from Caledon. I understand that he has his snowshoes in his car because I'm told that we're all going to need those by tomorrow night. Welcome, April. Sue Lawton, who's a trustee from Mississauga, is with us. Thank you, Sue. Kathy McDonald, trustee in Brampton, here as well. Robert Crocker, our trustee in Mississauga, as well, supporting us today. And I have not seen other trustees, and I'm blinded by lights, but I know that they too, we all lead very busy lives, so if they're able to come for even a short portion of today, I know that there will be more here as the day unfolds. When I visit schools, I see wonderful learning and a world of achievement, firsthand with the dedication of our staff and in the faces of our students. I also witness the outstanding contributions made by Peel Board parents. Whether it's volunteering in schools, it's fundraising, which is all part of that school council, for trips, or just simply being involved in your children's education. It's clear that you, our Peel Board parents and families, recognize the important role that you play. And as I said, it takes a village to do this, and we're all pleased that we're in this together. Our student success is a shared responsibility, and it requires all of us, parents, administrators, teachers, support staff, our students, the government, and the community at large. It requires all of us to work together and support our students within our community and within our schools to ensure that they're given the opportunities that they deserve to succeed. And so I want to thank you sincerely on behalf of my colleagues and trustees on the board and our senior administration. We could not do this. We could not be the successful board we are without all of you. And I want to thank you for your ongoing contributions to enriching the lives of your children, children that we feel are our children as well. So we appreciate this, and we look forward to working alongside of you as the future unfolds. We're meeting with the director just this week, the vice chair and I, talking about strategic issues that trustees are going to tackle over the next few months. And one of those, we talked at length about parent involvement. And we want to find ways to involve you more, not just in your local schools, if you're interested, but in the board itself, in the system, in strategically, and where this board is going. And so I do promise that we will give you that opportunity to, and we haven't done that for a while, and we need to do that more. Give you that opportunity for input and discussion around what will this board look like in 10 years, and where are we going, and how will we be of service to children during this the 21st century. So thank you very much. I know you're going to enjoy your day. I hope you have some fun. I hope you'll meet some new people. Networking is very easy at this conference. And so I hope your learning is fun. And thank you very much again for coming. It is now my pleasure to introduce our Director of Education, who is a great, incredible supporter of our students and public education. So would you please help me welcome Tony Pontes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and my welcome to you as well. Hi, Kathy. And thank you so much to the staff and the students of Rick Hansen. As Trustee and Chairman Dougal said, this is a great school. Outstanding reputation for academic excellence, student leadership, and you see all of the students that are here. And you can't help but notice from all the banners, they do pretty well in athletics as well. So congratulations. And it is a pleasure to be here today. I'm excited to welcome all of you today to our 15th parent conference. Obviously this year focused on numeracy. And you know, have you heard about the trickle effect? Sometimes you start something and then before you know it, it starts to grow, and that's in fact what's happening across the province. There are more and more of these kinds of parent conferences being held by boards, specifically because Peel started this one 15 years ago. And that's great, because we're all about helping all parents and all students across the province to ensure that public education is strong and vibrant and helps every student be successful. I too want to thank my colleagues who are here today, and if I can just point out two In particular, Mr. Jamie Robertson, who is the superintendent for Rick Hansen, and Brian Woodland, who is the director of communications. And it is his department that works closely with school staff and other board staff and students to make sure that this conference is successful. And I hope that your children know where you are this morning. It's important, right? It's important for them to know that you're here on a Saturday morning doing what? Learning about how you can help them be successful. That's why you're here. And so I want you to make sure that they know it, particularly if they're teenagers. And teenagers are tough. They want to push you away, but in fact, they like you close. So in fact, I can guarantee that your teenage children, youth, will love to know where you are today, and they will appreciate it. Your presence sends that very important message that their education is your top priority. And we appreciate your enthusiasm, your attendance, your support, not just today, but every day, as you help your son and daughter be the very best that they can be. At the Peel Board, our mission is to inspire success, confidence, and hope in each student. And we take that mission statement very, very seriously. But what we know is we can't do it alone. We need the support of families, parents, of course, grandparents. We have many grandparents in the Peel Board. They're actively involved in their grandchildren's lives and their education. And all family members, guardians, and friends. It's a team effort to make sure that every student is successful. And today, we're going to give you some tools that you will need and that will help you to help your child be even more successful. A big part of that is building our collective understanding and knowledge. Many of the skills that our students will need today and into the future, if your child is just in kindergarten, it's hard to imagine what the world will look like in 15, 16, 17 years. But it will not look like it looks today. That's the one thing we can be certain of. And sometimes personal anxiety about helping them with their homework, particularly around math and science, gets in the way. But I can assure you that you don't need to be a mathematician or a scientist to help your child be successful and to help them with their homework. You just have to learn how to ask good questions. That's one of the things you'll learn today. Last year, the Peel Board introduced Engage Math. It's our 3-year comprehensive math strategy that will help students achieve what we call numeracy greatness. We want every student to feel confident and competent about their abilities to do math. Mathematics success for all of our students will continue to be a strong partnership between the board, the staff, the schools, and you as parents at home. Part of this strategy includes providing parents with more resources to support their numeracy success. And we've heard that very, very clearly. You want to know how you can help them with math. That's why this year's parent conference focuses on numeracy, as it did for last year, and I suspect, I can't guarantee, but I suspect it probably will for next year. I'm also hearing that the ministry is looking at revising elements of their mathematics strategy, and of course we will pass that on to you as parents when we become aware of it. For the first time, it took us 15 years, the first time, we're proud that one of our own teachers will present a keynote this morning. Jonathan So, a grade 6 teacher at Ray Lawson Public School, that's the Kathy that I was welcoming, that's his principal at Ray Lawson, will be delivering Moving from Doing Math to Helping Children Become Doers of Math. As a math teacher, I always used to say to my kids, math is not a spectator sport. You've got to do it. And that's what you're going to learn about today. Jonathan will help you understand what a balanced approach to mathematics looks like, how teachers teach numeracy skills, and how parents can help parents become help parents help children become doers of math. So it is my pleasure to introduce Jonathan So.
Oh, it's so exciting to be here today. It's a great weekend. I wish it was spring outside, but I mean, Blue Jays starting it tomorrow. First game of the season. And here we're talking about math. It's one of my most passionate subjects. I think even as a kid, I really enjoyed mathematics. But I think really as a teacher, it became one of my main focuses, and I learned to really enjoy how kids learn and develop mathematics. Not only am I a teacher, I'm also a parent. I can't help but put my kids up here. I'm a father of two, with one more actually due in August. Isabel's my oldest at 6. Micah is a year and a half, and sorry, my third's a little photo shy at the moment. But being a parent is probably been the hardest things I think I've ever done in my life. And I think a lot of you would agree with this, but yet one of the most rewarding things too. I joke with my friend all the time, who has no kids, but he says, you know, my snowmobiles don't cost me $20,000 when they're about to graduate. And I said, I know, but you know, your snowmobiles also don't look you in the eye and treat you like a hero every single day. And I think as parents, that truly is the most remarkable thing about our kids. No matter how hard life gets, they always look to love us. I think being, though, a parent has really changed who I am as a teacher. And it's really set me on this journey. And everything I've been speaking about for the last 2 years has been almost through that lens of a parent. And when Isabel started school, I couldn't help but think, what is she doing? I hope she's being good. You know, that's the same question that always goes through my mind, because sometimes at home she's not always good. But I mean, that question, and I understood why my parents would always come to me and ask, how's my kid doing? Because that's what I wanted to hear all the time. How is Isabel doing? And it made me think as a teacher, am I being the best teacher I possibly can be for my students? Am I giving them the right activities? Am I doing the best questions that I possibly could ask? Am I helping them be learners? You see, I kind of have a fear. I have actually a lot of fears, but I have a fear in education in general. That my kids are coming to school because they feel like they have to. They're coming to school because they're going through the motions. Just kind of like this photograph here of people going to work, reading the newspaper, not engaging with one another. They're just kind of going through the motions. And I've been reflecting on this for quite some time, but it took me until Isabel went to school to think about this more in general. I mean, the problem is that as the world changes, information that we once thought was important or needed is almost becoming obsolete. I mean, how many of us remember this picture here? It's a switchboard. It's what we used to answer phones with. I was at a tech conference a couple years ago, and the keynote speaker actually asked, in 10 years, what jobs are going to become obsolete? Better yet, what jobs are going to replace them? I mean, how many of us would ever thought that we'd need a social media consultant in many of our jobs? I sure didn't. I mean, I still remember working on this in grade 8. It is a digital typewriter, not just a typewriter. And then I got this. And that was only 5 years difference. And now we have these. How fast? It's hard for me to show an Apple product too. I'm more of a Google person here, but how fast of our technology has changed? How rapidly is things even changing? I can only imagine, as Tony said, what Isabel's going to have to do when she becomes a high school student, or even when she's in work. What types of jobs are going to be available for her? I came across this video about 2 years ago, and I think it highlights the ideas that I'm showcasing here.
Back now at 56 past, I wasn't prepared to translate that.
That's
that little
right.
mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah.
But I'd never heard it.
Around.
I'd never heard it said. I'd always
That's
seen the
right.
mark. There it is. At amfeedback.com. I mean, what
do you
is
say to that,
internet
Allison?
anyway? What do you write to it like mail?
There's Allison. Can you explain what internet is?
See, that's what I said. What do you mean there's nothing under the hood? Katie said she thought this was a car.
Yeah.
And it's built using wind? Like from a windmill?
Or a fan, or a turbine, or a fan vine.
I mean, what is I3 anyway?
Allison, can you explain what I3 is?
The all-electric BMW i3, built in a wind-powered factory with the strength of carbon fiber and BMW performance.
Come on, loosen up, Gumbel.
Can you twerk?
As I've been practicing in this, I've never really noticed the bicycle person as she stares at the window, and I think that's what my students stare at me all the time too when I try new things. Isn't that crazy? But to think that in 1994, the internet actually became mainstream for us. It was always in place, but 1994, that was 22 years ago. And how fast things have changed because of the internet. The information that my parents knew going through school served them well. The information that I knew sort of helped me go through it too. But how fast things are rapidly changing, I'm not too sure if that information is going to help my daughter. See, the issue though I have is that if we continue to teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. What's interesting about this thought and statement is that John Dewey said this in 1915. The thought is that if we continue to keep the same things all the time, we could potentially hurt our students in our thinking. We have to keep moving with them as much as they are moving with us. A couple of years ago, I completed my master's, and having to do that, I was doing a lot of research around learning and teaching students, and I came across this amazing statement. And I don't think we would disagree with it. The purpose of teaching is to help students learn. I think as parents and as teachers, that is our prime focus. But it was the second part of the statement that really got me thinking along this route here. If learning doesn't happen, there is no teaching. And I pondered on this for a while, and I said, is she telling me that if my kids aren't learning, I'm not being a good teacher? Yeah, she was. And the more that I thought about this, the more I kind of combined this with questions I was having for a very long time. I mean, every year I kept asking, why don't my kids get this? Didn't they do this last year? Why am I spending a month on review over and over and over again? And I say a couple of head nods, because I think even as parents we say the same thing too. I mean, we've heard the saying, we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make them drink. Well, that's what I felt sometimes. I was getting very frustrated. I was jumping through hoops. I was giving these exciting lessons, or at least, in my opinion, they were exciting. I was lighting things on fire in order for them to be excited about the learning. And yet, I would still be wondering, are they getting it? And so it dawned on me that every year I was asking these questions, and every year my students would be changing, and the only common denominator was me. And so it made me reflect even more and come up with the statement that you tweet about almost all the time. We need to stop having our kids do math and make them doers of math. We need them to be mathematicians. We need them to be in charge of the learning and not just following ideas and procedures that are set before them. We need them to embody the learning and be independent. I mean, isn't that the goal of every one of us as parents, to have independent children who eventually will take care of us? But what do I mean by this? What does this look like? Well, traditionally speaking, and even for me, going through school, teachers in math class explained procedures. We then gave details of how to do things. We then let kids go practice, and then explain the mistakes as they went along. Very rarely was the participation ever there. The questions we would ask is more to see if they actually understood exactly what I was saying. Sally, did you get that? And move on. If they didn't, we would question this. In my research, I called this the IRE method. where teachers initiate a question, students respond, and then we evaluate it. I think this maybe, this video here would pinpoint the idea a little bit more.
I think it's already starting. Okay, here's your homework. First let me tell you the directions. What's 4 take away 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take away. What's 6 take away 1? 1. No, you take away, so you take away 1 out of 6. How much does it equal? What's 10 minus 1? I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope. Take away 1. How much is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 1 more. And add 1 more. How many does it equal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1. It makes 9. See how you take away? You take away 1 and it equals 1. Do you get it now? Yes.
If you haven't ever watched Kid Snippet videos, they're quite funny to see and do. I also didn't realize that the teacher's name is Mr. John. But that same face that the teacher was having was exactly the same face I would be having for years. Like, why don't you get this? But I think this kind of pinpoints the idea of that traditional method of teaching that we're very used to. The teacher would be sitting there trying to give directions, leading as much as they possibly can. Why don't you get this? And the kids would often sit there and be like, okay, and just go through the motions of the learning possibility. But what if, we also have these things happening here. Not to say that these are any bad, and they do have a purpose for it, but these were often the things that we get sent home. And the problem that I have with our worksheets is that we often don't have any thinking involved in it. The kids would get the worksheets, they just do the things that are here, and they go home and practice, and then come back. There's absolutely no thinking involved. It's just replicating what is happening at school. But what if our school and classroom looked more like this? What if our kids during school had time to collaborate, had time to discuss, had time to ask critical questions? What if, as a teacher, I had time to listen to the dialogue that was happening, to understand developmentally where students are? What if the teachers helped students together to make generalizations? What if work looked more like this? Same types of questions that are being asked in that same worksheet, only one though, because of the critical thinking that's involved. On your right-hand side, you have a question where Joey eats this much pizza, Robert eats this much pizza. Who eats more? I actually had kids thinking about that the greater the denominator, the smaller the piece. And because of that, whatever had the biggest leftover piece was actually farther away from my whole. They were understanding all the little critical concepts and big ideas that go with it versus just using common denominators. On the left-hand side is the question around what is the fraction, or what fraction represents each color. So before they actually split things up, it was just those shapes that were provided. So kids actually had to understand that fair sharing is the foundational methods of fractions. And because I have to make every piece the same, that's the only way that I can think through it. I want you to also, as I sat here and thought about doers of mathematics, I was actually thinking about my own learning. And I think we can all reflect upon this ourselves. How do you learn best yourself? When you go and try to do new things, like fix the refrigerator because it's frozen shut, what do you do? It reminds me of how my dad taught me as a kid. Now, my dad wasn't a teacher by any means, and I really can't blame him. He moved here when he was 13 years old. My grandfather had to actually work in Britain because there was no jobs here. So at 13 years old, my dad was the man of the house. He had to learn English and learn everything on his own. So when he came to me and said if I would come to him with a problem, he would just say, go and do. Come back to me if you have questions, but you go and learn. And as frustrating as it was, for the most part, I did learn. So it didn't matter what it was, whether it was rotating the tires or changing the brakes, even learning calculus. The questions to him were, go and do, and when you come back, let's go through it. And so for me, for my dad, it was about the journey, and not so much the destination. Though I really loved it when I got to the destination, but it was about the journey process. It was about the learning. It was about being in that state of disequilibrium, where that frustration is not too high that you just give up, but in that disequilibrium where you are questioning where things are, but learning how things relate in context. How do they fit to real life? Why am I learning this subject that is happening through here? And what is the process that I'm going through to learn about? The funny thing is, though, school has never really been about the journey. I mean, this is 1940, and really, school hasn't looked that much different than it did back then. For many of us, school has been about replicating, doing the exact same thing. I was reading a book by Myron Dueck. He calls school like a little sausage maker. We shove all these hopes and dreams and creative thinking and ideas into a sausage so that we can grind out individual similar thinking and sausages all along. That was the industrial method. That's what school was meant to do. We needed kids ready to work the factory lines. I don't know if that's true anymore. I mean, information, as I said, has changed so rapidly. I mean, how many of us remember using these? I mean, I still remember pulling them off my shelf. And then eventually I moved to the encyclopedia and the CD-ROM drive, but it was still that. Now that sits on my hip, on the portion of a portion of my cell phone here. Information is so readily available to our students. I mean, Isabel was learning how to make a fire truck in Minecraft. She wanted to do it. So what did she do? She went to YouTube, she watched a YouTube clip, and then she made it in Minecraft at 6 years old. These are the things that our children are coming prepared to do and learn. The problem, though, that we often have is us as parents. We have so much questions and ideas, and we wonder about why is this so different than the way that we learn? Why do we need a change? And sometimes we even have a fear of that change. Or we question, how do we help? I don't know what's going on anymore. On top of that, in education, we often throw in great words, like play. I've coined this my new dirty 4-letter edu word. Because every time we hear the word play, we think, oh, our kids are just running around amok. It almost reminds me of the cartoon Recess with the kindergartens and the spears running around like little savages trying to take over the school. We hear the word inquiry and think all the kids are doing are walking around in the forests and asking questions. We hear the word wrote and go, oh no, we can't do that. And then finally, the biggest word that I've lately been having a problem with, or at least hearing the problem, is discovery. What do you mean the kids are just going to discover? You mean they're not going to learn? Who's going to tell them what to discover? How are they going to know what generalizations to make? It seems to come down to this, to memorize or to conceptualize. Or that traditional math, new versus new math. Reform versus the same way we've always been doing it. But does it have to? Why do we have this dichotomy? And for me, it should never be about the dichotomy of things. It should be about a balanced approach, which is what we have in Peel. About learning procedures and concepts at the exact same time. We need our math facts. There's no questions about that. We need certain things to showcase and move us forward in our thinking. But we also need to be critical thinkers and how to use the information that's available. I don't know how many times in my school and my kids that I see this all the time. They have the facts. They know them really well. As parents, I think we do an amazing job of making sure our kids know facts, but they don't know how to apply them. I can ask the same fact question 4 times 3 and put it in a word problem or put it in a context, and they struggle with it. They don't know how to apply it. Last year I had the opportunity to go to China to help teachers learn inquiry-based learning. And it was amazing, the reflections that they came back to understanding of things. And they said, our kids are very good at learning and doing what we're told. But what you're making them do, it seems almost, it's hard for them because they've never been forced to think outside of their application. They've never been forced to use the information that they have to make a catapult or to make a human plane to describe how flight principles are being used. This is totally revolutionary for them. And I feel like that's the same for some of our students here. Let me put it another way. We live in the age of Google. I think we would all agree with this. Google is almost everywhere we go. Whenever we have a question, okay, Google, how do I get home? Okay, Google, what's 5 times 3? Or we ask for Siri if you're using our Apple format. We also have an app called PhotoMath app. I don't know if any of you have seen this app, but basically there's an app on our phone that we can scan an equation on our textbook, and it will tell you the answer and the steps and how to get there. Google itself, inside of its search bar, has a calculator. Here's a tip calculations. How many of you struggle to make tip in a bar? or at the restaurant with our family? It also does calculations. It also does graphing. And on top of that, it also does 3D graphing. The question, though, is that none of these programs do. How do I know this is right? How do I know that this information that I put in there is correct? This is what we need to make our students think about. As I said, information is at their ready. It is at their fingertips. But the problem is that almost anyone can put that information in. How do we know that what information we're using is the right information? How do we know that it's applicable to the situation that I'm in? And better yet, how do I know that I'm correct? I once heard that if our tests can be Googled, I think we need to be rethinking our tests. And here's the reason why we need to be thinking. Who knows what our future's been holding? I think you'll hear this throughout the conference today. We don't know what our future's like. I don't know what Isabel is going to have to do in 10 years from now. But really what we're coming down to is training our children to be future-ready students. We want them to be adaptable, to be changeable, to use any information at any time. In fact, this is what workforce is actually looking for as well. My proud principal sitting there in the corner, Kathy, got to go to Samsung a little while ago, and she told the story of what Samsung was looking for. They're looking for those adaptable, problem-solving thinkers. They want people to be able to use the knowledge that they're given in a very creative way. I came across this great chart from Alice Keeler. It's called the depth of knowledge chart, and I think it really puts the idea forward of what we're thinking about. It's kind of blurry right now in a minute, but for the longest time, school had been thinking of this as depth of knowledge. To memorize facts, to explicitly state what's in the text, to recreate something from what that was there, and everyone has the same answer. And again, this is needed. We need to start somewhere. But what if our learning looked more like this? Invent something. Apply information to a new situation. And the kicker, have an original idea. I think as parents, we would all want to have this. We would want our kids to be independent thinkers, to critically analyze the information that they're given, to have an idea, to be the best that they can be. And I think I'm going to put an unselfish plug here for Peel, and not because my boss is sitting right here in front of me, but our Engaged Math focus in Peel is probably the best program that I've ever seen in Ontario, and I would say in the world. Truly, Peel is one of the best places for your students. You can see this with every dedicated teacher that's here today, who is willing to give up a Saturday to help you work through with your children and how to improve them. But not only that, I see through Twitter, through the schools that I've visited and seen, every teacher using purposeful practice, problem solving, and teaching critical thinking skills. I've seen teachers making generalizations and making the learning explicit for every student that they have. And not only that, I've seen students genuinely excited about mathematics. What a thought, that they actually love math. I don't know anywhere else out there, and I don't know why this is happening, but math, for some reason, we can walk around and say, I'm not very good at math, and it's okay. But yet we can't walk around and say, I don't know how to read. And we shouldn't. Math should be that exciting point in our life. We need to have those opportunities to present solutions. We need the opportunities to talk about a variety of mathematical representations. We need the opportunities to work and prove through solutions so that we can make a generalization. I love this quote from Vanderwall, and I think it summarizes the idea that we have. The goal is to make our students the authors of their mathematical ideas and logical arguments. We want them to be in charge of their learning. We want them to be passionate about what they are doing. I guess the question, though, that lies in all our brains is, does this truly impact our students? And I asked this very same question in my master's thesis. And for my thesis, I had to analyze the impact of my questions on students' learning of particle relations and fractions. And it was very interesting to see. And I know it's a small sample size in my grade 4 or 5 classroom at the time, but I think this would be true in almost every class that we would have. When I asked those traditional IRE types of questions, the ones that were direct, where I really wasn't looking for an answer, I just wanted to see if kids got it, the learning actually went nowhere. Kids answered, didn't move anywhere. The funny thing is that when I asked those questions that linked to big ideas and logical arguments, they jumped at the opportunity to explain and rationalize through the questions. I had kids debating. I had kids commenting over top of each other because they were so passionate about what they were learning. This is what we want for our kids, and they improved so much. I had one girl at the beginning of the unit crying because she was so frustrated. And on video at the end of the unit, she's like, this is the right answer, I know it is! And she's so passionate about it. It is truly amazing to see that change and transformation happening. But I guess as parents, the real question is, how do you help? And this is where, as a teacher, I have 3 points for teachers, but I also have 3 points for you as parents to help out in home. Attitude, conversations, and activities. And I know we've already heard Tony say it, and Janet say the same thing. These are the things that we can do at home. The first thing is be positive. Research has shown that math-anxious parents produce math-anxious kids. When we walk around and say, oh, that doesn't, I don't know, I really struggle with math, our kids pick up on it. Remember, we are the models that they follow. Unfortunately, we create little mini-me's all over the world, following us, doing whatever we want. Also, we have to remember that as much as we have that anxiety, we can still help our kids through it. We often forget what it's like to be a kid as a parent. We often forget what it is to inquire, to question, and even think about the developmental ideas of our kids. I mean, I see this a lot in number sets, where when we think of addition, we automatically jump to an algorithm. But what we forget about is all the learning at that bottom of the continuum. Cardinality, one-to-one tagging, being able to understand numbers and magnitude. And this has to happen before they get to an understanding of an algorithm. This is all the things that have to be keep in mind in that positive mindset. Having conversations is probably the best thing you can do as a parent. Asking critical questions, wondering about what they're doing, talking math to your children every single day. The same 3 types of questions that I used in my research are the same 3 types of questions that you can do with your students, or with your kids. The first is to interrogate. And this is what I tell all my parents of my students: ask why. Constantly ask why until you're satisfied with the answer that your child is given. They may learn to hate you, but they are constantly explaining their ideas and questioning. They are becoming doers of their mathematics and not just giving you the answer. Going beyond, this is where I tell my parents that it's okay to show them the way that you learn. It's quite all right, but instead of telling them all the procedures, have them explain it. What do you think I did? Have them go through it and try to learn the mathematics through the process. And better yet, compare what you did to what they did. These things are what makes our kids push their thinking. We can also have 2 things that I think as parents we sometimes, and teachers, that we sometimes forget to do. Wait time. We want our kids to succeed so bad. We want them to be the next Prime Minister of Canada or the next amazing future rising star, that we provide all the steps for them in their learning. I don't know how many times I've had to hold back myself from helping Isabel and jumping in, but we have to give them that wait time. We have to have them in that disequilibrium state where they're struggling just a little bit in order to understand their process. The other thing we often sometimes do is we just tell them. Instead of using their voice, my daughter has a speech problem where she can't explicitly explain her ideas, and revoicing what she's trying to think has helped her so much in her thinking. Is this what you meant? Sometimes it changes her idea. No, I didn't mean it that way, I meant this way. And it's really helped her in her thinking. Remember, math is all around us. You can have conversations almost with anything and everything. And you'll see that today in a lot of the workshops that are being provided. It's about talking math to your kids and making them enjoy the wonders through the lenses of mathematics. Remember, it's about the journey process. It's not the destination that matters. It's about walking and learning and developing the concepts along a continuum of learning. And of course, destination, in the end, will get there. But it does take time for that learning. And this idea that it has to be this versus that, I think has to go away. Because true learning happens when we have a perfect balance, a perfect relationship between procedure and concepts, where we're learning them at the exact same time and understanding why we are doing things. It comes back to this depth of knowledge chart over and over again, where we still need that depth of knowledge 1. But you can see the movement on progression all the way to building up to using those ideas in a new and exciting way. So as you walk around today and you listen to great workshops being presented, I want you to ask yourself this: are your kids just doing the math or being doers of math? Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy today.
So, wouldn't you love to have Jonathan as your child? Thank you so much, Jonathan. And just for the record, that video with the teacher and the high-pitched voice, that was not my class. As I said, Jonathan is an outstanding teacher at Ray Lawson Public School, and he's also very active on social media. You can follow him on Twitter at Mr. So Classroom, so by all means do that. He's very active. And Jonathan, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for helping our students, your students, but through your connections with other staff and with parents today, helping students become doers and thinkers, creators and learners. That's what we want our students to do, great, great learners. To help them collaborate, to discuss, to explain, to ask critical questions. to really become doers of mathematics. And by the way, I would say that your father was an excellent teacher. And thank you for reminding parents how they can help their children be successful by being positive. Absolutely the most important thing. Being positive and telling your students that they can be successful in mathematics by having great conversations and asking questions and to look for ways in which mathematics is all around us. In doing so, you've helped us, and you've helped all of these parents to help their children become doers of mathematics. Thank you very much. Now, before we move into break, I'd like to just spend a couple of minutes thanking all of our presenters, our organizers, Principal White, and all of the staff and students from Rick Hansen Secondary School, because we know that without all of their combined efforts, none of this would happen. Things like this don't just happen. As parents, you know how important it is to be involved in your child's education. Clearly, that's why you're here today. In the Peel Board, there are many, many opportunities to get involved. Janet talked about a number of them. Most important, of course, is by helping your children be successful and keeping in touch with what's happening in their classrooms, encouraging them, connecting with the teachers in the school, and then looking for other ways to expand your involvement. But those that I mentioned are the most important, and that's why you're here today. One of those opportunities includes the board's Parent Involvement Committee, sometimes called PIC, and it's a group of parents, trustees, community representatives, and board staff. I sit on that committee, and the role of that committee is to encourage and to enhance and to expand meaningful parental involvement within the schools and across the district. Why? Ultimately, always to support student success. Each year, the committee is a proud supporter of this conference, as they are today, and this year they are our conference bag sponsor. So thank you so much. Yes, thank you. I want to thank the PIC committee, those members that are here and outside talking to you, and to thank them for their ongoing support of Peel and Peel students. If you're interested in joining our Parent Involvement Committee, they will be accepting applications this spring. You can talk to people at their table and ask how to do that. You can download an application from the board's website at www, you all know it right, peelschools.org/PIC. I'd also like to thank our conference partner and lunch sponsor, really important, right? You'll be thanking them in a couple of hours. And that is the Peel Elementary Teachers Local, our elementary teachers in Peel. With more than 7,000 members, the Peel Elementary Teachers Local is the second largest teacher local in Canada. They continue to support the communities in which they teach, including providing support for Peel United Way, local breakfast programs in our schools, and sponsorship of many, many activities for youth in Peel. And finally, Finally, I'd like to thank all of our other conference sponsors, our lunch provider, Kids Essential, Friends of the Mississauga Library, Peel Principal and Vice Principal Association, Microsoft, and more than 40 other business and community partners. Their support, your support, both financial and in kind, allows the Peel Board to continue to provide this conference free to you. So thank you to all of them. And finally, who doesn't like prizes, right? So before you break for refreshments, please take a moment to check your conference bag. Sponsored by PIC, your conference bag for a door prize or a yellow ticket. And at this point, you're no longer listening to what I'm saying, right? Some of you will notice that your ticket indicates that you are a door prize winner. Excellent. If you have a yellow ticket, please go to the registration table located in the main foyer and pick up your prize. Finally, I want to close by thanking you once again for participating in this year's parent conference and for your ongoing support of the Peel District School Board and your children. I want you to know that we are absolutely committed to working with you to inspire success, confidence, and hope. Thank you and have a great day. And remember, the next session starts at 10 a.m. We're on break now. Thank you very much, folks.
Peel TV, where education meets communication.